Sitcoms are the absolute best, and there's a couple of them that just recently came out that I have some thoughts on. The first one I'll talk about is St. Denis Medical, which I've had on my radar for a while before it started airing in November. I was super excited for this one because it's co-created by Justin Spitzer, who also created American Auto and one of my all-time favorite sitcoms, Superstore. There's even a few actors from Superstore like Kaliko Kawahi and Josh Lawson, plus Nico Santos appeared in an episode as well. Although my very first impression of the show was a bit underwhelming, as I kept watching it really grew on me. To be honest, I was expecting it to be similar to Superstore, but I actually think it's a lot more like Abbott Elementary. What really won me over was not just how well written the jokes are, but how spot on they are for each character. Every character's personality is instantly recognizable while somehow avoiding being too cookie cutter. Like Joyce, the hospital administrator definitely shares a lot of similarities to the Michael Scott type of character, the kind of well-intentioned but clumsy boss. But her personality and mannerisms put a whole new spin on that kind of character, and it really works well for the show. I thought it was hilarious seeing the returning actors from Superstore because Kaliko Kawahi's character Val is so different from her character in Superstore, while Josh Lawson is pretty much playing the same character in both shows. Val is definitely one of the standout characters. She's mostly unfazed by all the goofy stuff going on, but she always has something to say about it. Matt is probably my other favorite character. He's so wholesome, but completely clueless. Every time he and Alex are on screen, her reactions are just perfect. I really have to say that it's just a solid cast overall. Like, David Alan Grier does a great job with his character Ron. His delivery is perfect, and his facial expressions absolutely kill me. Allison Tolman is also great as Alex. She's really versatile, and she just delivers what each scene needs. I especially love the scene where a patient's husband thanks her for saving his wife. There's something about those touching scenes like that in sitcoms just gets me. The only characters that I'm still a bit on the fence about are Bruce and Serena, because Bruce's jokes and subplots are kind of one note so far, and Serena just needs more screen time. But overall, St. Denis has had a really good start, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. Now, the other show I wanted to talk about, A Man on the Inside, is a bit different because this show released all at once on Netflix. And from what I know, this release method is pretty new to the creator of the show, Michael Schur. Michael Schur has to be one of my favorite writers ever. He's worked on several amazing shows. He helped write and produce The Office, he created The Good Place, and he co-created both Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Parks and Rec. Oh, and if you didn't know, he plays Dwight's cousin Mose in The Office. That blows my mind every time I think about it. But like I mentioned, all of the really big shows he worked on were weekly network releases, so there's a little bit of wiggle room to change some of the character dynamics and writing style based off of the ratings as the show releases. I think The Good Place landed on its feet right away for the most part, but both Parks and Rec and The Office underwent some major adjustments early on. All this to say, when a show releases a whole season all at once like this, there's no way to make adjustments. It really just has to work right away. To be honest, I do think there's some things that could have been better. The main thing that bugged me was that the humor was a little bit hit or miss. There were a few instances where I felt like they were using jokes that just weren't very original and kind of tired jokes at that. I can't help but mentally check out when I see a slightly different variation of a joke I've seen 10 times before in different shows. I also really didn't like the scenes with Emily and Joel's kids just because they were really unfunny and unnecessary, especially the whole trampoline broken arm thing. It made me feel like I was watching a Darman skit, and I didn't see how it connected to the story at all. Some jokes kind of came across as just being a cute line for a character to say that isn't really meant to be funny, but it's just something to make them a bit more charming or likable. That's not to say this show isn't funny though. There were several scenes that were pretty hilarious. One of my favorites is when they're holding a resident council meeting and Susan, the council president, tells everyone to open their candies and mints before they start, and all you hear after that is the crinkling from everyone opening their candies all at once. That one definitely got me. But I think A Man on the Inside's bread and butter really is the more emotional aspects. There were a lot of meaningful moments, and there's some lines that really pack a punch. I think that a foolproof scale for the quality of a piece of art is how long you think about it after you've experienced it. A lot of shows are in one ear and out the other, but if you find yourself thinking about a show for days or weeks after finishing it, that's a real impact. Now, I don't think I've been thinking about the show for weeks necessarily, but there were a few moments that did stick with me for a while. One of them is when Ted Danson's character is taking a poetry class with another resident, and he basically says that he doesn't get it because he is an expert poet like her. But she tells him that she only became interested in poetry just a year ago. It's such a simple way of saying that it's so easy to convince ourselves that we can't do things, but anything that anyone does is something they started doing badly until they got better at it. Which really is the main message for the whole show. No matter what age you are or what you've been through, you can always find a new lease on life. So, aside from the occasionally questionable dialogue and some of the jokes not landing, I think A Man on the Inside is a well-written and really entertaining show. Plus, it's already been renewed for a second season sometime in 2025, so I'm excited to see where they take it. If you've watched one or both of these shows, make sure to leave a comment because I'd love to hear your thoughts on them. Until next time, thanks for watching.